Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I'm Ahmed, Senior Content Producer for Mining Indaba 2024. As part of our Digital Diaries series and in keeping with July's theme of tech and traceability, the missing link, we're delighted to present an exciting new interview with Lucara Diamond Corp, winners of the 2023 Junior ESG Economy Award. Speaking with its Chief Executive, Eira Thomas, this interview focuses on how Lucara has integrated proprietary technologies to improve the traceability across its operations, the impact this has had on its supply chains, and the potential for a wider application of such technologies throughout the mining sector. Take a look. Eira, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. And how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. So if I can just kind of get straight into it, our theme for this month is tech and traceability, the missing link. Obviously, with the market right now and where things are going, traceability has become a major talking point within the mining sector as a whole. End users are looking for a lot of clarity when it comes to ensuring their minerals are responsibly sourced. Within that same vein, however, the diamond sector has always been kind of one step ahead of that. Purchasers of diamonds have since probably the conception of lab-grown diamonds have wanted guarantees where their diamonds are coming from. Are they real? And since before that as well, we've always had those kind of the conflict diamond category and trying to avoid that. Hearing this, would you kind of support that statement, and where does that kind of sit with you?
Yeah, listen, I'm glad to hear you say that you think the diamond industry has been ahead of it. I feel that we have. This is something that we've been really focused on for quite a long time. Initiatives like the Kimberley process were brought in by the industry to really try and really stamp out and stop the trade in conflict diamonds. So that's been around for a very long time. But I think where we're going with our traceability programs today is really towards a more technology-driven process, as opposed to a form of assurance that at the end of the day, really relies on more of an honor system and in terms of tracking and tracing how diamonds are moved through the pipeline. Today, we actually have technology that can very much assist with this. And the war in Ukraine and the need to really carefully and authentically, I think, demonstrate to our buyers where the diamonds are coming from is super important, and technology has a big role to play.
I'm glad you referenced technology, because we'll touch back onto that in a second. But in terms of kind of, the traceability aspect as a concept, setting the scene, as it were, how long has diamond traceability really been a priority for producers? And the risks associated with that, do you feel that those have been mitigated through that process?
I think that it's been top of mind for a very long time, but again, I think that as we've been able to really unlock and utilize technology, I think the level of assurance has gone up. And I think that, today, really, we've got, very sophisticated consumers that want to understand with confidence and have access to the information that will give them that comfort is absolutely paramount.
Just before I hit onto my next question, you mentioned something there that I kind of want to quickly elaborate on. In terms of the consumers, how long do you feel it's been since that kind of desire for information, of knowing where things are coming from? Do you feel like that's quite a new phenomenon, or do you feel like that's been a prevailing idea?
I think it's been increasing. I mean, it's not new in the sense that, again, there was a real need, I think, within the industry to look at conflict diamonds and really go at that in a very concerted way to give consumers confidence that diamonds were not being transacted in war-torn areas and funding wars in conflict zones. So I think that's where it began. I think where it's evolving to is much more around the storytelling opportunity. Diamonds, unlike any other mined commodity, they're a consumer marketed product. So it's really a lot about the emotions around these types of purchases, and really being able to demonstrate to consumers that they are supporting responsible businesses that really care about their commitments around the environment, their social goals, as well as companies that are well governed. And all of that is I think factoring large into the demand for our product today.
Yeah, I think the word there that really resonates is confidence, just kind of building that with the consumer base. I mean, I think that's quite a nice segue into kind of the meat of our discussion, which is you guys at Lucara Diamond Corp, you use quite clever technology, which I understand you guys actually own,
Yes.
that addresses and dare I even say might even solve kind of the diamond traceability challenge. Can you tell us a bit about that technology, Clara, and kind of how it works, the implementation, that sort of thing?
Sure, I'd be happy to, and we really do think that Clara solves, the traceability challenge, most definitely. This is technology that we developed, and we have patented, and we've been essentially utilizing for more than 4 years now. And what Clara is really doing is tagging each and every diamond that gets sold through its marketplace with an immutable record of its origin. And that is using scanning and planning technology that comes from a company out of Israel that we are partnered with called Serene Technologies. And they provide scanning and planning technology to the industry today. They've been doing that for many, many years. But what we've done that's unique is we've moved that scanning and planning technology right up to the front of the pipeline. So as these diamonds are actually being mined, they are very soon going into scanning and planning before they leave the mine site. And that tag then follows them through their journey, through to the initial rough sale, but then ultimately using Serene Diamond Journey, that blockchain journey can continue right through manufacturing until the point that diamond actually ends up on a store shelf. So we have it, it's working, it can be done at scale, and I think that's really important. There's lots of technological solutions that can trace diamonds. The challenge has always been, can you scale that up? Our technology really works best in stones between 4 and 20 carats in size. I think the solution on smaller stones is something that is still needed and is being actively worked by the industry, but our technology covers off what we'd like to call the bread and butter goods of the industry. It's where the lion's share of the value resides.
Yeah.
And that's been a real advantage and a catalyst for developing kind of business on the Clara platform. We've increased, our buyers since the day we started, from a few to now well over 100 with an active wait list. And the provenance is definitely an attractive feature. It's not the only thing attractive about Clara. We are using technology in many ways on the platform. The equally important, of course, is that we are using technology to really create a more efficient sales process. And then the provenance piece really comes along with that. So there's a good rationale for buying and selling on Clara that goes beyond provenance, but certainly provenance is a key feature that attracts many of our customers.
Sure. If I can ask, what was that kind of implementation process like? Because it sounds like, obviously, it sounds very much like Clara does a lot of good for the industry, and making sure that down to that unique code that it imposes. What was that implementation process from the identification of that sort of requirement to the execution? Was it a difficult process, or was it relatively straightforward?
No, it certainly wasn't straightforward. This came out of the midstream. It came out of the manufacturing industry,
Hmm.
as they, really recognized that the way we've traditionally transacted rough diamonds really hasn't been working very well over the last decade or more. And I won't go into a long drawn out explanation for that, but
Yeah,
basically it was born out of a need to create a more efficient marketplace. And if you think, about diamonds as being, like any commodity, one of the big challenges with diamonds is it's very heterogeneous. There's no two diamonds that are alike. So most producers today sell diamonds in lots or assortments or buckets. And what Clara allows us to do using, computing power in the cloud is to sell diamonds individually against specific demand. And again, by selling them individually, you can trace them. But it's also a huge advantage for our buyers who are getting exactly what they want when they want. And for us as sellers, we're also able to achieve better prices by selling diamonds individually as opposed to selling them in average, parcels
yeah,
or buckets. So yes, it was a 2 years to, I think, for the original inventors who now work for us at Clara to develop the technology. It's essentially a matching algorithm that matches, polished demand out there in the market, in the retail, against specific individual rough diamonds that can fulfill those individual orders. So it's quite transformational for the industry. We like to call it the Uber of the diamond industry,
yeah.
because that's what it's really about: matching buyers and sellers in a much more efficient way. And in the process, we trace the diamonds to provide assurance on provenance.
Amazing. Well, we all know where Uber ended up going, so hopefully the next one. I mean, look, this technology, from the sounds of it and from the looks of it, is incredible, and can very well be considered a solution for the diamond sector. Like you said, no two diamonds are the same, so it's got its work cut out for it. But
Yes.
how could it apply to other areas of mining, or do you think it could apply to other areas of mining? Is there a particular blockchain element that's applicable? How do you see that transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, traceability throughout the supply chain is top of mind in the mining industry, and there's different companies and technologies that are out there to provide that traceability. I would say that what we're doing is pretty unique to the diamond space because it's again about really tracking individual crystals. But I think the system in and of itself, and the ability to, use scanning technology at the earliest stages and use those scans then to follow product is something that could be applied to other materials in the mining space. And we'd have to look at the applicability specifically, but certainly we're looking at it from the perspective of colored gemstones, for example, and other kind of unique mineralogical specimens that get sold individually.
Amazing. Well, you referenced supply chains a couple of times. In terms of managing the traceability within a supply chain, what advice would you give the wider mining industry? Perhaps from both a strategic and a technological perspective. Well, what are your thoughts there?
Well, again, I think it's obviously really important, whether it's measuring your carbon footprint and trying to work at driving efficiencies in your own business. It's really about understanding, who you're doing business with and where. And all of these pieces, I think, are very much enabled by existing technology. So I think, my advice is, it can be kind of an overwhelming task to start thinking about implementing a company-wide system such as this. But there's many good platforms out there today. The technology is moving fast. The inclusion of artificial intelligence has also been hugely beneficial. So I think we're going to see a lot of movement in this space over the next several years. And I think, you know, for the smaller companies in particular that kind of look at this as a big cost, I think for us, we've been able to demonstrate that you can flip that and turn it into a real opportunity. And I think that's where the industry is going, and it shouldn't be feared. It should be embraced. And I think that we're all going to get there.
Amazing. I couldn't agree more, especially when, you know, with the advent of traceability and its renewed importance across the industry, having this sort of thing to support the mining sector as a whole would be invaluable. And I, for one, I'm definitely excited to kind of see the developments around Clara and just to kind of see where the technology goes. Eira, thank you very, very much for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation. We appreciate you joining us, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the Indaba.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and enjoy the rest of the summer. Thanks very much.
Thank you.